Hello and welcome to Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. There has been such a struggle for businesses and corporations to hire a competent and competitive workforce. Well, I've discovered one company that is doing something different and it seems to be working. So I'm going to join me now is James Amps of Amps International, and he has the Amps Entrepreneurship Leadership Institute retreat. And I mean, that's a mouthful, but tell us about it, James. What's going on?
You're right. Well, hello, Jacqueline. Definitely appreciate the opportunity to be on your newsworthy stories segment. We've been doing entrepreneurship retreats since 19. Well, I started my business in 1993, so I think it was 2003 we did our first retreat in Broward County, and we wanted to find a way to actually help our young people in high school and in college on getting out of that structured environment in high school and college and getting into an environment where you can create stuff and use their minds to do other things besides schoolwork and memory work and so forth. So that's why we came up with the Entrepreneurship Institute. I want to give back a little bit to our high school students because I've done a lot of work in the high schools and the college market. And so we figured out a way to have an intensive 3-day retreat where they're learning about not just entrepreneurship, but they're learning about a new mindset on how can you solve issues for people who need it. And we've got to find different industries where people need to solve different issues. And so that's what started this thing. And we found out that when we were dealing with these high school students, they knew nothing really, or 85% of them knew nothing about entrepreneurship and building their own businesses and becoming their own CEO. So it was a good input for us to enter the high school market and teach our young people in the college market about creating that new mindset about entrepreneurship and solving issues. And that's where we are today. We've probably done 10 to 12 retreats so far, and we're ready for another retreat, as you know, in St. Croix. But the whole thing is that when folks are looking for people in high school and college who have a different attitude about solving issues and helping organizations to move forward, we want them to come to us, Jacqueline, and because we have some outstanding young people who can move forward with their lives and be CEOs and understand the mindset of creativity.
Well, not only that, I mean, you're already giving them work experience and responsibility, and just the mindset of understanding how to create your own business. Let's talk about this latest retreat that's going to happen in St. Croix, and there is a deadline for it. It's October 12th, and so you're looking for high schoolers and college students for this as well.
Yes, we actually are. So November 4th through the 6th is going to be the retreat. We have a reception on the 3rd of November in St. Croix at the University of the Virgin Islands, who is one of our sponsors. But we decided on St. Croix and we decided on the Virgin Islands because we're also going to be at St. Thomas and we're waiting for Puerto Rico to actually, they had a flood out there. So we're waiting for them to get back to normal over there. But we understood there was an issue. There were challenges in the Virgin Islands on keeping talent, especially in the agriculture division and conservation. And so we decided to approach Vivian Dixon out of DC with the USDA NRCS, which is the National Resources Conservation Service, and talk to her about what we want to do in the Virgin Islands. So when we sent our proposal in, she sent it to Chief Cosby, and they decided this was something that was needed because they want to keep talent in the Virgin Islands. Most of the talent that they get for USDA and the 27 agencies they have, they're coming to the United States to pull talent to come back to the Virgin Islands. So
It's
we
hard
had,
to keep them, right?
yeah, it is hard to keep them. They want to roll out. So now it's like, okay, if we can keep this talent in the Virgin Islands, yes, they can go somewhere else if they want to attend college. But the University of the Virgin Islands now has their agriculture program, so that's a plus. And we can keep that talent right there at the University of the Virgin Islands, whether it's in
And
St. Thomas or St. Croix.
the one thing I found also, this was like twofold attractive to me, especially one with the great problem that's been going on across the country, finding competitive and competent a workforce at
Mhm.
first. If you already have kids and students who have already gone into a company, have an idea, solving a problem, working together as a team, that's huge. That experience is huge. But here, with what you're doing with the USDA is that you're also teaching them how to conserve. This is working towards the environment, and that alone that's a whole nother level by itself of opportunities for these students to create businesses that are environmental.
You're exactly right, and we believe in talking with the USDA, NRCS, and Vivian Dixon and the chief, and Luis Aurora, who is the leader of the Virgin Islands for USDA out there, that there are opportunities for our young people to help in conservation, help agriculture, and help our farmers, especially in the Virgin Islands. And that's a unique area where we're touching on with this retreat, is that they actually get to interview different farmers on the island and find out what their challenges are. So when they begin to build their business, they're building a business that's going to help farmers solve issues. And that's the whole concept, is that if we can teach our young folks on how to help individuals and organizations solve issues, everybody's going to want them. And the key to this retreat is that we get to follow them for the entire year.
I was just going to say that.
Oh man, because now they get to be mentored by USDA, NRCS personnel. They get to be mentored by farmers. They get to be mentored by people at the university to understand what the university is doing and how the college experience helps them. And so it's a whole new atmosphere for us, and a whole new way of us doing our retreats when we get that entire year to spend with the 25 students that we're going to have in the retreat. With 20 of them were taken from the high school, 5 from the college, so we have that mix.
I see. Okay. Now this is actually a picture from a previous time, and I believe is this in Broward County?
That was the Broward County retreat. Yes, that was sponsored by DeVry University and Honeywell, as a matter of fact. So we had a good outing there. But those were people, even though it wasn't Broward County, we got them from different parts of the country. So we probably had 5 or 6 from different states, and then the majority from Miami, West Palm Beach, and Broward County.
Now I know this group was another retreat that you did, a mix from St. Croix and the U.S. Where did it actually take place?
Yeah, that was in St. Croix. That was like 2010. We were so overjoyed with that one, and that's why we want to come back, because now in coming back, and Vivian Dixon and Chief Cosby, they understand that it's not just the 3 days that we're talking about. We're talking about a whole year long mentorship for these students, and we want them to understand, yes, what agriculture is about, what equity conservation is about, but we want them to also guide them into one of the 27 agencies under USDA. So that they can make an impact. And we believe that we will have a better employee if they understand what entrepreneurship is about and building their own business.
Now, I do have an investment in this one myself, right?
Yep.
So, I've kind of joined the team here, the AMPS Entrepreneurship Leadership Institute. I'm going to have to kill myself to say it like 20 times. I'm like, when I was saying it, I'm like, really, James? This is like really hard to say.
Institute, we're fine.
We're going to have to cut that name down.
AMPS Institute is fine.
But it explains what you do. That's the part that I do like. I like that the name explains what you're doing. And just the fact that you're a laboratory. I love that on your website. If you go to, the website, which is scrolling across the bottom, which is not scrolling across the bottom, because I've been scrolling my own name across the bottom. There you go. Which is nice now that you can see James's name scrolling across the bottom and the information. What you need to understand is that it's a laboratory for youth entrepreneurship. And I really want you to let those 2 words sink in. Youth entrepreneurship. They are tapping into a resource that is not yet been, we've seen, young people creating businesses. I mean, even if you watch Shark Tank, you can see that they have a whole Shark Tank, full of young people creating their own businesses. But what about having a business like AMPS International come in to your corporation, bring in potential, employees, workforce for you, introducing them to something they might not even realize is available to them. I love it. That's why, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to bring you the stories out of St. Croix. But we're going to see this program in action. And so I'm looking forward to bringing those stories to you. And I just want you to be aware of that this is actually happening November 4th, but the deadline is October 12th. And we just want you to tell your friends. We have so many people in St. Croix that live here in the United States.
Okay.
And this is, you're actually trying to recruit students who already live in St. Croix for this particular retreat. But I'm sure many people here have family members there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even in St. Croix, St. Thomas, Puerto Rico, but we're concentrating this one on St. Croix, on the island of St. Croix, because there's so much need there. And we have the agriculture program at the University of the Virgin Islands, which of course is one of our sponsors. But we feel this is a good island to start our retreat on for the Virgin Islands. And, and you talked about a little bit, Jacqueline, the Institute and the retreat that they're going through, the last day, they're vying for dollars. They're vying for venture capital dollars. And so we're giving out maybe 1,500, even 2,000, and we're going to split it up into three categories. First place might get, $800 or 1,000. Second place might get $500. So we're breaking it up. And then they have to actually begin that business. So they're going to have a name. They're going to have all of their business set up once they present it on that Sunday, which is the last day. And then they're going to be vying for money. So I think that's the good part is, they get to start that business. And then we get to mentor them for the entire year to help actually solidify the business. Because remember, it's really a startup. It's really a beginner's course on what entrepreneurship is, but it is intense. And that's why they go through that Friday, Saturday, they come at midnight. We have a midnight madness section where we take them to the beach on St. Croix, and all they do is line up and they just meditate for an hour. And then we bring them back in about 1:30. And then they get prepared. They're preparing for that business presentation on that Sunday to their parents and the community and to the university. So we think it's a great opportunity for the young folks that are on the island there.
Yeah, and they also get a chance to meet heads of state,
Exactly.
and things like that. They're getting an opportunity to present themselves as leaders in the community at a young age. It's going to be extraordinary. I love what you've been doing, in the previous years. I'm looking forward to sharing this program. And really, James, I mean, you're a keynote speaker. This is something you have done. You go and you share things. Can you tell us a little bit about, what it is through the AMPS International? Because this is, a little bit offset from that. What is it that you do that you want corporations to know that why they should call you?
And it's almost the same. It's the same way we started the Entrepreneurship Institute is what we started with AMPS International. Is that when I'm speaking, I'm usually speaking on accountability issues or turning obstacles into opportunities. But we're trying to get employees to solve issues the same way we're trying to get our youth to solve issues. Because if they can solve issues amongst themselves, then they're not going to be infighting. They're not going to be those people at the coolers who are talking about other people. Now we're going to have people who are accountable to themselves and accountable to their teams and accountable to the organization. Instead of just talking about what the issues are, we're trying to get them to, yes, let's talk about it, but let's solve something here. And if you can't solve it on the first go around, then let's begin the process of trying to solve it again, which means we have to ask different questions. And that's what I try to talk about in my keynote speeches, whether it's the 300 people or 30,000 people, is that accountability is a skill. And you've got to learn it if you want your team and your organization to grow.
I have never heard anyone say it like that, but that is so true. Accountability is a skill. Wow, I love it. So James, tell us, even though we can see it scrolling across, tell us how people can reach you, how you would, and the fact that, what do they need to do? What do they need to be prepared to do?
Yeah, they can go to our website, theampsinstitute.com, and there's an application there you can fill out. You can upload the information that we need for medical and for your parental signatures and so forth, and then they can download it right to us, and it'll come to us. We say that we want a 2.0 grade point average. That's just something that we have to have in place. I look at resume. I mean, I look at essays, and I see some of those essays, and somebody might have a 1.7. And they get into our institute, and the next thing you know, they've graduated from the institute and they're off to college somewhere because of the opportunity and the mindset that we taught them. But they can, just go to the website and fill it out, and don't worry about the grade point averages. Is there, And like I said, if your essay is good, we read an essay the other day. It's like, oh my goodness, you talk about an outstanding essay. And then I called her father and I'm like, congratulations on your daughter. She did a great job on the essay. And he said she did it all on her own. I'm like, that is great. So given the opportunity, our young people can excel more than what they think they can if they're outside of a structured environment. And so that's what we're looking to do, is to build their creativity.
Well, thank you so much, James, for giving them the opportunity, for creating this space, not only for the students, but for businesses to have a go-to place, and understand that, corporations like Honeywell, the DeVry University, and so on, the USDA, you know, are using you. And
Right.
that's important. That's the message I'm trying to get people to understand, is that people are already, using you. You're already vetted, if you will.
Right.
So if this is something that interests you, give James a call and talk about the next retreat at your company, and get the kind of workforce and interest that you're looking for. Uh, I think it'll be worth the investment. I can't wait to bring those stories back to you.
Yeah, we believe that even though we're dealing with the youth and high school and the college environment, the adult industry as well, it's good for them, especially for the corporations that you mentioned. It's good for corporations to do a retreat on entrepreneurship, to change that mindset and help people solve issues within the company. And that's what we look for. It's like, how can we solve issues within the company to make the company grow and be profitable? And that's a good thing.
Thank you, James. I greatly appreciate your time, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Appreciate you. Thanks for being our media consultant. It's a big help.
Hey, we're going to get it out there. We're going to get that word out.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Thanks, Jacqueline.
Thank you.